Over the years, Toyota has been known to make some of the coolest enthusiast cars out there. Cars like the Supra and the MR2, and modern day cars like the GR Corolla and the GR86 have cemented Toyota's name in the world of Japanese performance. However, on the flip side, Toyota has been known to make some of the safest, most reliable, most affordable, and highest selling economy vehicles that are out there. And today, I happen to have one of those best sellers with me. What's going on, everybody? My name is John and you're watching Driver's Theory. And today I am driving the 2025 Toyota RAV4 XLE Hybrid. This might be one of the best hybrid SUVs that you can get on the market right now. I was actually introduced to the 25 RAV4 through my parents. They had traded in their Toyota Prius and they were looking to get a larger vehicle. They were actually looking at cars like the 4Runner and the Tacoma, but they went ahead and decided on Toyota's crossover, the RAV4. I wanted to take it out and I really wanted to see how this vehicle drove, how it felt, and I really wanted to understand why is this one of the best-selling SUVs in America. Now, I've been driving this car for probably an hour now, just getting to know it, getting to learn it, and off rip, this is a very comfortable car. It's nothing to write home about in terms of its performance. It's an economy car, what are you gonna expect? However, this rides extremely smoothly. The seats are, well, yes, they are cloth, but they're very comfortable seats, very plush. I can't complain about how these seats feel. The steering is a little bit loose, but I'm not expecting race car precision steering out of a RAV4. The steering that it does have, this is actually pretty good for the category it sits in. The biggest thing that I love, the biggest thing that I probably will talk about in this video is how smoothly this car rides. I want to make a little bit of a comparison. I drove a previous generation Honda CR-V. It was like a 2016, 2017 CR-V. One thing I really wasn't a fan of was how it rode, because if this is gonna be my daily driver, I wanna be comfortable driving my car. And honestly, I was not that comfortable driving the 2017 CR-V, or at least that generation of CR-V. I jumped into this car and I was just, I'm honestly amazed at how smooth the ride is. And the thing is I'm not comparing two sedan chassis. I'm actually really comparing a sedan chassis and a crossover sitting on a really small truck chassis, because while the CR-V felt like the Civic, it felt stiff, it felt rough. When it ran over a bump, you really felt it and it really just wasn't comfortable. However, with this car, this drives like a small 4Runner or like a small Tacoma would. The suspension is soft and it's smooth, and when you hit a bump in this car, you just go over it. It's like nothing ever happened. If I'm driving this every day, I'm gonna want the car that feels comfortable on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to, well, yeah, the suspension's a little stiffer, and when I hit a bump, it's a little uncomfortable. But other than that, it's great. I don't want that. I want everyday comfortability, no matter the driving conditions. And the RAV4 really hits the nail on the head there. Not to mention, because this is a hybrid, you're getting really good gas mileage. This has 10,000 miles on it. It's still a new car, but my mom drives this thing a lot for work. She picked this car because of the hybrid system, because of the MPGs that you're getting. Right now, this is making 41.8 miles per gallon. This is making just under 42 miles per gallon. In the day and age we live in, with gas being as expensive as it is, this car is a really good deal. And especially if you're very mindful of how you spend money on your gas, you won't have to be mindful with this car, because you won't be filling up every week. You shouldn't be filling up for the next 2 weeks, to be honest with you. I just filled this up and I'm actually really looking forward to see how long this car can go before it needs to be filled up again. Because if you're making 41 miles a gallon, you're saving a ton of money on gas. Now, I do have a few gripes with how this vehicle feels ergonomically. It's my two biggest things here. One is the infotainment screen. It's fine, it's a touch screen or whatever. However, it is a little bit farther than I would like it to be. I actually have to lean in a little bit to reach it. The buttons to select your modes or select what menu you want to go to, they're pretty small, and so you got to be able to actually like hit it on the head. See, I missed the telephone button. And the thing is this screen, because of how far away it is from me as a driver and how small the menu buttons are to get to the menu you want to go to, it actually becomes very distracting, and you actually kind of lose sight of the road, as opposed to it being convenient for the driver to be able to select the menu that they want to go to and still stay focused. Now, granted, it's probably not a huge deal to some of you, but to me, these are the small things I look for. The other big thing that I'm not a huge fan of in terms of the ergonomics of the vehicle is the climate buttons. Now, the knobs themselves are totally fine. I actually like how they're using traditional knobs instead of going in this direction of like haptic touch. I'm not a huge fan of haptic touch climate. Tiguan, I'm looking at you. But I do like how they're using regular knobs for selecting temperature and whatnot. However, I'm not a huge fan of how small the rest of the climate buttons are on the vehicle. These are really skinny, small buttons, and I have mishit a couple of buttons on this vehicle a couple of times just trying to select my fan speed. Overall, if you can look past those two things, which again, at the end of the day, they're pretty minute problems that I have with the vehicle. When you're looking at the entire driving experience of the RAV4, it drives very smooth, it's responsive, this is a very comfortable car, it rides very smoothly, and yeah, great gas mileage. 41.8 mpgs, that is incredible. I wish my Mercedes made 41 miles per gallon. Let's go ahead and pull over and let's walk around the vehicle. Back in 2019, Toyota took the RAV4 and they gave it a complete makeover. And they went ahead and made it a lot more aggressive, gave it sharper body lines, and at the end of the day, they made this thing look a lot more boxy, which I absolutely love. And that was the one thing that I didn't like about the previous gen RAV4. They were very round and they weren't as aggressive or mean looking. They just kind of looked like your everyday SUV. The thing I like about the RAV4 and the way that it looks now is this looks pretty unique to the market. Granted, a lot of SUVs in the market nowadays are really taking to this boxy style. However, the front end of this looks a lot more aggressive, it has sharper lines, and the back end of it, exactly the same. Aggressive, sharp taillights, and just a really sharp and boxy rear bumper. Now, this particular RAV4 is painted in blueprint blue and has 17-inch wheels with a brushed aluminum finish. And it also comes with the optional roof rails. Looking at the interior of the RAV4, we all know that the steering wheel is one of the biggest things that I talk about in any car, because this is the one part of the car that we are always going to be touching. Now, in terms of this steering wheel, there's really nothing special about it. You have your cruise control settings on the right side, and you have all of your infotainment controls on the left side. The actual steering wheel itself, I like the grip that it has. I like how it sits in the hands, but I'm not a huge fan of the material. This is like a soft plastic that they're using. I'm not a huge fan. This is probably one of the cheapest feeling parts of the car, is the actual steering wheel itself. Looking at the rest of the car, I have my infotainment screen in front of me. Like I mentioned earlier, I think it's a little bit too far away from the driver and becomes a little bit distracting when you're trying to access your menus. But this does have wireless Apple CarPlay, and I did use it a little bit while I drove it, and it works very well. Now, granted, the sound system in this is, I'm not even talking about the sound system. It's really not worth talking about. It's honestly not that good. I would probably try to upgrade in any way, shape, or form to the name brand sound system that Toyota offers. Moving farther down the center stack, you get to your climate control system, and I like the fact that they are using real knobs to control the temperature of the climate. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not a huge fan of how small the rest of the buttons are. For instance, like my fan speed, or if I want my defrosters on, those buttons there, I'm not a huge fan of how small they are. But other than that, this interior, it's actually very nice. In terms of what SUVs in the $30,000 to $40,000 range offer, especially from Japan, this is actually a very nice interior. I'm actually quite surprised with it. I'm excited to see what the 26 model does, but for this particular vehicle and for the year that we're in and for the cost that it is, it's a very good interior. Not to mention, even though that this is optioned with the cloth seats, the bolstering and how they feel actually feel very good. I'm also a huge fan of how plush these seats are. Considering they're cloth, I would hope they're a lot more plush, but I really like how comfortable these seats are. Now that I'm in the back seat of the vehicle, the biggest thing I want to talk about is how much room does the back seat offer? That is my biggest thing with back seats. There's really no functionality besides having comfortable passengers. And for me, I feel like a comfortable passenger. I have tons of legroom, I have tons of headspace, and as a 5'9" human being, you could definitely fit somebody much taller than me in here and they would feel very comfortable as well. After being able to drive the 2025 RAV4, I completely understand why that this is one of the highest selling SUVs in the United States. It's a comfortable drive, very spacious and roomy, has a modern interior, and it has amazing aggressive looks. Do I see an SUV in my future? Not really. However, if you're in the market for an affordable, reliable, and gas-efficient SUV, I highly recommend the 2025 Toyota RAV4. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell, and we'll see you on the next one.